Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. My name is Trey,
I am Rungren.
and we got some more monsters. I'm just going to keep saying that for the next foreseeable future.
Yeah.
I did want to really quick highlight, if you check in today, I believe to the end of, like, the middle of next week, I think till next Thursday, there is a special bonus thing for Radiant Citadel where you get 4 adventures for free. So if you're on D&D Beyond, we're not sponsored, but, you know, if you want to get those for free, you can until next Thursday, I believe. So just a quick heads up on that.
Yeah, and if I think the dice are still available too.
I think so. The anniversary dice
Yeah.
for the next 50 years. Yeah. So we left off last week talking about the Drow
Yeah.
and talking a lot about the Underdark. And I know that you're excited to get out of the Underdark and back into the world of the light. You know.
Well, I did think it's interesting how these monsters were grouping together for us. Mm-hmm. Just naturally, they put them in there.
Well, then you'll be excited to learn that the next section is also Underdark. It's the Duergar.
Okay. Instead of elves, we're going with dwarves now.
Yep.
Okay.
So, for anybody who doesn't know, Duergar are dwarves of the Underdark, or other sunless realms. You can run them in any underground society or any place where the sun doesn't shine. The Shadowfell, for
Yeah,
instance. That's what
yeah.
I was going for sure.
Sure.
Basically, they've been completely, like, impacted by Mind Flayer's captivity way back when. And so now they have really strong psionic abilities, but also have like this sorrow, this gloom that taints their people. It's not that they don't feel emotions, it's that the emotions they feel are incredibly strong. And I think that's a really cool way to run an entire race
Yeah.
of, hey, and this is a playable race too, let's not forget. People can play as Duergar now.
Yeah.
It's not that you're not feeling emotions, it's that the emotions you feel are so strong you can't show them, because if you show them, you break. So it's really interesting, I think.
It's just like life.
Yeah. These Duergar have a lot of psionic alchemy going on,
Okay.
and so they've kind of rolled in for the Duergar the 354th edition gnome. So for anybody who doesn't remember, gnomes in the first couple editions were gnomes as you think of them, right?
Yeah.
Gnomes in 3, 5, and 4 were taller and more akin to like a different variant of a dwarf. And so they were tinkerers. They're still tinkerers, I guess, but
Yeah.
they were like, we make constructs and we make robots. Whereas in 5th, we've gone back to gnomes being tinkerers that make tools and toys, and Duergar being the ones that make the constructs.
So it's kind of weird how you explain it that way in 3.5 and 4. It's like they made gnomes the Duergar from.
Yeah. And they were psionically attuned, too.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. And for anybody who's ever played in one of my campaigns where I do Swedish gnomes, that's why. Is because they were bigger and different.
Yeah.
But I think it works better with the gnomes being tinkerers and the Duergar being construct makers.
Yeah.
I think that works a lot better. So I've given you the base ground for Duergar, right?
Yeah.
I got a bunch of stat blocks to throw at you, but it's all is basically different variations of Duergar and then their constructs.
Oh, okay.
So they've given you a lot to be able to use here if you want to run them as NPCs or if you want to run them as bad guys. But it is important to mention, Duergar can be any alignment. They don't have to technically be evil, you know. No, you're good. Glad you're here. They don't have to be evil, even though back in the day, that's how we all ran them.
Well, okay, it's kind of weird coming out of second edition. Now you played 3.5 and 4. I don't know that version much, but there's dwarfs that are gone.
Right.
Like I don't think we have gully dwarfs anymore.
No, we don't.
And the gully dwarfs were stupid dwarfs. That's as nice as I can be.
That's
They
very
were
true.
Dumb dwarfs. They had a number system because it's 1 of 2, and 2 meant more than 1. They did not make very good scouts. But they seem to. It's right. As open as 5th edition is, a lot of these monsters really kind of streamline into, like a lot of the ones we've gone over from this, they really streamline well. Like you could use them in other places, but to the Underdark.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the cool thing about Duergar and the Underdark is they're not, whereas the Drow were, hey, we work for Lolth, you know?
Yeah.
Find out how to work that in. The Duergar is, hey, we kind of do our own thing. we just exist down here, but that means that automatically we're kind of against everything else.
Well, I think they were originally weren't they dwarves that had been rejected from
Dwarfdom.
yeah, dwarfdom, basically.
Yeah. So they just live on their own.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help the fact that we start off with a Duergar despot. Despots replace parts of their body with mechanical devices they control through their psionic abilities. Challenge rating is 12. The armor class is 21.
Dang.
Which is very good at armor class. Challenge rating 12. Hit points is 119. Speed's 25. They are, of course, immune to poison, like everything in this book. And they can't be charmed, exhausted, frightened, paralyzed, or poisoned. They speak Dwarvish and Undercommon, and they have Dark Vision to 120. They do have magic resistance. They have advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. And they have Psychic Engine as an attack. When the Duergar or as a trait, sorry. When the Duergar suffers a critical hit or is reduced to 0 hit points, psychic energy erupts from its frame to deal 4d6 psychic damage to each creature within 5 feet of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Resistant to poison.
Yeah, everything's resistant. That's pretty solid.
It's pretty stout, yeah. That's I think it's an upgrade over classical Duergar, really.
It is. It is. And then, of course, they still have sunlight sensitivity. So while in sunlight, the Duergar has disadvantage on attack rolls as well as wisdom perception checks that rely on sight. Attack-wise, it has multi-attack. It can make 2 Iron Fist attacks and 2 Stomping Foot attacks. After one of the attacks, thanks Nightbot, the Duergar can move up to its speed without provoking opportunity attacks. It can replace one of the attacks with the use of Flame Jet, which we're going to get into. The Iron Fist is a +9 to hit, 5 feet, single target, 48 plus 5 bludgeoning, and if it's large or smaller, it must succeed on a 17 saving throw, or be pushed 30 feet away and be knocked prone.
Wow.
And it can do 2 of those a turn. Then the Stomping Foot is a +9 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d10 plus 5 bludgeoning, or 3d10 plus 5 to a prone target. So it pushes somebody, then it uses its free movement, basically, to be able to get to them, and then it can try and stomp them. But it's important. Duergar only has 25 speed. So if it pushes them 30 away, it can't fully reach them, which I think is the way you balance that, right?
Yeah.
It also has Flame Jet. It can spew flames in a line 100 foot long and 5 foot wide, which is a very nice line.
Yeah.
Each creature in the line must make a DC 16 dex save, taking 48 fire damage on a failed save or half as much on successful. And remember that it can replace one of its 4 attacks a turn with a Flame Jet.
Mm.
And that's where I think it does balance out quite a bit, but it still has spellcasting.
Well, it's like you don't want to fight one of these in a small room.
Right.
You want to get these ones out in the open.
Yes,
so
and you want to kill it with ranged.
Yeah. So if you on the chance you do get blasted back 30 feet, you're out of its range.
Right.
Have to go extra because you hit a wall or something before that, you're not going the 30 feet.
Right, and then it can get to you and do triple the damage it normally does.
Golly.
With spellcasting, the spell save DC is 12. With intelligence is the mod, and it can cast at will Mage Hand and Minor Illusion, and once a day it can cast Stinking Cloud. So very fun little. It's a good boss monster, I think.
Yeah.
By high level, really not going to be too much of a threat for your party. I mean, it's got 119 HP. It can do a lot of damage, but it's going to take a lot of damage too.
Yeah.
And 21 AC is very good, but by level 15, a 21 AC, you should be breaking that pretty regularly.
Yeah. Especially when you're looking at fighters and barbs, that it's not going to be impossible to have like a +11 to hit.
Right.
So
I might have missed on one of my 5 attacks this turn. You know. But that's the Despot. Next up, we have the Duergar Cavalrachni, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's cavalry that rides spiders. Steeders, for instance. We have a little blurb from Mordenkainen.
Yeah.
It says, Duergar architecture is remarkable for its brutalist grandeur. It's not a style I would use for my towers. I prefer gold, gems, and tracery, but I admire the boldness of dwarven stonework. The Cavalrachni, which is an incredible name, and I love it so much, is only a CR2 monster. This is something you can throw pretty much wherever. AC of 16, which is really good for CR2, but not too much.
Yeah.
Hit points are only 26.
Okay.
And it still just has a speed of 25. So, it makes a pretty solid monster to be able to throw it at just about any level. Resistant to poison, of course. Dark vision, 120 feet. Dwarvish and undercommon. But it has cavalry training, which means when the Duergar hits a target with a melee attack while mounted, the mount can use its reaction, not the Duergar's reaction, to make one melee attack against the same target. I love that. I think that's so cool. We do have a block for the Steeders later in this book, so we're not going to cover them today.
Okay.
But what I will do is in the description of this podcast, I'll post a link to the podcast where we cover the Steeders when we get to them.
Okay.
Duergar Resilience is next, of course, which is advantage on saving throws against spells, charm, paralyze, poison conditions. Still has sunlight sensitivity, but it does have multi-attack. It can make 2 war pick attacks. And the war pick is +4 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 plus 2 piercing, plus 2d4 poison. That's very good at CR2. And it has a heavy crossbow, which is +2 to hit, range 100, 400, single target, 1d10 piercing. No poison damage on that. But 1d10 damage is a lot at CR2.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has shared invisibility, which recharges after a short or long rest. The Duergar magically turns invisible for up to 1 hour, or until it attacks. It forces a creature to make a saving throw, or its concentration is broken, as if concentrating on spell.
Yeah.
Any equipment the Duergar wears carries invisible with it. While the invisible Duergar is mounted, the mount is invisible as well. The invisibility ends early on the mount, immediately after it attacks.
Okay.
It's pretty solid.
That's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool ambush tactic setup.
Yeah, the Cavalrachni.
Dwarves and spiders.
Next up, we have the Duergar Mind Master. This is a Sonic caster.
Yeah.
CR2, AC 14, hit points 39, speed of 25 feet. It is, of course, resistant to poison. Still has dark vision to 120, but it has true sight to 30 feet.
Oh.
Which I believe makes it the lowest challenge rating creature to have true sight. CR2.
That's pretty low, CR2. I mean, giving a player true sight at level 2 is crazy.
Right. It has Duergar Resilience, of course, and then Sunlight Sensitivity. But it also has multi-attack, which for a caster is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It makes 2 Mind Poison Dagger attacks.
Oh.
They can replace 1 attack with the use of Mind Mastery. The Mind Poison Dagger is a melee attack, +5 to hit, reach 5 feet, single target, 1d4 plus 3 piercing, plus 3d6 psychic, or 1 piercing damage, plus 3d6 psychic, while under the effect of reduce.
It's so weird. We have so much psychic damage.
Yep.
And yet, Dark Sun's not on the horizon.
Right.
How is that?
Maybe one day. This thing can also use invisibility. On a recharge on a 4 to 6, turns itself invisible for up to an hour until it attacks. Same rules as the other invisibility. And then it has Mind Mastery. It targets 1 creature it can see within 60 feet of it. The target must succeed on a DC 12 int saving throw, or the Duergar causes it to use its reaction, if available, either to make 1 weapon attack against another creature the Duergar can see, or move up to 10 feet in the direction of the Duergar's choice. Creatures that can't be charmed are immune to this effect.
Okay. Well, so still, there's a couple of characters you can make run off a cliff right quick.
Yeah.
I get close enough to it.
Then as a bonus action, it can use Reduce, which recharges on a short or long rest.
That's funny.
For 1 minute, the Duergar magically decreases in size, along with anything it is wearing or carrying. While reduced, the Duergar is tiny, reduces its weapon damage to 1, and makes attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws with disadvantage. If they use Strength, it gains a +5 bonus to all stealth checks, and a +5 bonus to its AC. It can also take a bonus action on each of its turns to take the hide action. This thing can turn tiny, stab you in the shin, and then hit you with 3d6 psychic damage.
And then disappear.
Yep.
I like it.
It's a pretty nasty little guy.
Yeah. Once again, the setup's good for it, though, because we've got already we got somebody behind that group, right? You got a few of these you send out on your group as your group looks for it, and you've already got a boss monster.
That's right.
Kind of running the thing.
That's right. We also have the Soul Blade. There's still 4 more of these, by the way, for the Duergar. And then we get into their constructs. They give a lot. Again, if this is a book you're looking for as a DM with a bunch of monsters,
yeah,
it's a bunch of monsters. And most of them are unique. You know, some of them are just, hey, here's variations of before, but most of it's unique. This is probably my favorite of the Duergar, and it's the Duergar Soul Blade, and you're going to see why. They use their psionics to manifest blades of psychic energy.
Ooh, Psylocke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but a dwarf.
Yeah.
CR1,
Okay.
armor class 14, hit points 27, speed 25, resistance to poison, dark vision 120. It has Duergar resilience and sunlight sensitivity, of course. Then it can use, or actions, a soul blade, which is a melee attack, plus 5 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 2d6 plus 3 force damage, or 4d6 plus 3 force damage under the effect of enlarge, which works the opposite of reduce for the Mind Master. Then it, of course, has invisibility, recharges after short or long rest. And then, for a bonus action, it can enlarge. For 1 minute, the Duergar magically increases in size, along with anything it's wearing and carrying. While enlarged, the Duergar is large, doubles its damage dice on strength-based weapon attacks, which is the Soul Blade.
Yeah.
And makes strength checks and strength saving throws with advantage. If it lacks the room to become large, it attains the maximum size possible in the space available.
That's an interesting caveat.
Yeah, it's a very different way that enlarge is normally used.
Yeah. I find it interesting. That's so one going one way, the other and going the other way.
Yep. Pretty cool way to use them.
I think so.
Next up, we have the Stone Guard. These are the elite troops. We got a little blurb here from Mordenkainen.
Okay.
He says, the mental power that Duergar wield was given to them by Illithids. But why would Illithids create servants who could turn invisible or grow to ogre size? Most likely because those servants would excel at hurting their master's other minions. In retrospect, it seems arguable that Duergar escaped bondage because their jailer had given them the keys.
Hmm.
It's a nice little blurb about how, hey, yeah, you made them able to do all this cool stuff.
Well, it's weird because mind flayers are ancient in D&D.
Mm-hmm.
They were before some of the main worlds we have now on the timeline. If we're looking at mind flayers, we're keeping Githyanki and these other races slaves before Forgotten Realms, before all these other ones. So it's kind of nice to have that touch back just to something that deep and dark, you know.
I agree.
That may just be rumor in this world now.
I agree. The Stone Guard is CR2, and I want to mention that some people I saw online were a little upset that all these Duergar are low CR. I actually would rather have a low CR monster. I find it much easier to move up a low CR monster than to bring down a high CR monster.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to nerf any of their abilities. I just have to bring up their AC, bring up their damage, bring up their hit points. I'm good.
Or throw in one more.
Yeah, or throw in one more. The Stone Guard's still CR2, 18 AC, does have a shield.
Okay.
39 hit points, 25 speed. Still resistant to poison, of course. Dark vision, 120 feet. Still has Duergar resilience and sunlight sensitivity, but has a new trait called Phalanx Formation.
Ooh.
The Duergar has advantage on attack rolls and dex saving throws while standing within 5 feet of an ally wielding a shield. Get 2 of these things together, they give themselves advantage.
Yep.
Has multi-attack, 2 short sword or javelin attacks. The short sword's plus 6 to hit, which is really good for CR2.
Yeah.
Single target, 5 foot, 1d6 plus 4 piercing.
Okay.
Or 2d6 plus 4 piercing damage while under the effect of enlarge.
Okay.
And then the javelin is, again, it's or. It's not you get 4 attacks. It's 2 short sword or javelin. Melee or ranged, plus 6 to hit, reach 5 foot or range 30, 120. Single target, 1d6 plus 4 piercing, or 2d6 plus 4 piercing while under the effect of enlarge.
Okay.
Then it can turn invisible using invisibility. And as a bonus action, it can enlarge, both of which recharge after a short or a long rest.
Man. There's fun with a group of these. I mean, it's a lot for you to keep up with on the DM side, of which ones are invisible and where they might be and stuff. But, you have a lot of fun ambushing the group.
Yeah. Next up is the Warlord. This one's CR6. This is the leader in battle, right?
Yeah.
Armor class 20.
Tough.
Pretty good at CR6. This is going to be your boss monster for most cases, right? 75 hit points. 25 speed, still resistant to poison, 120 foot dark vision, Duergar resilience and sunlight sensitivity. Then it has a multi-attack where it makes 3 psychic attuned hammer or javelin attacks and uses call to attack. So we're going to get up to that one.
Okay.
The psychic attuned hammer is a plus 7 to hit, single target, reach 5 foot, 1d10 plus 4 bludgeoning, or 2d10 plus 4 bludgeoning while under the effect of enlarge, plus 1d10 psychic.
Dang.
So that gets to hit pretty hard, pretty quick.
Well, at round 6, a couple of levels lower, throwing out 20-something points of damage is deadly, and it's not far from it at 6th level. There.
Right. And he gets to do 3 of those a turn.
Yeah.
The Javelin is +7 to hit, reach 5 foot, or range 30, 120. Single target, 1d6 plus 4 piercing, or 2d6 plus 4 piercing while under the effective enlarge. Doesn't have any psychic damage on it. It also has invisibility, but this one recharges on a 4 to a 6 mid-combat.
Ooh.
It has a bonus action to allow it to enlarge, just like the others, but it also has an ability called Call to Attack. Up to 3 allies within 120 feet of this Duergar that can hear it can use their reaction to make 1 weapon attack. And it gets to do that for free after it does its 3 attacks.
Dang.
That's really solid.
Yeah. Another attack.
And it has a reaction called Scouring Instruction. When an ally the Duergar can see makes a d20 roll, the Duergar can roll a d6, and the ally can add the number rolled to the d20 by taking 1d6 psychic damage.
Oh, gosh.
That's very good.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good little boss monster.
Yeah, it definitely. It's. I like this one you throw in and it changes the battlefield.
Yeah, I agree. Then we have one last Duergar.
Okay.
Before we get into their constructs, and this is the Duergar Zororn. And these are the specialists who make weapons.
Okay.
Using a mixture of alchemy and psionics. CR2, AC of 18. Hit points 26, speed 25, resistance to poison, dark vision 120, Duergar resilience, sunlight sensitivity, as we've gone over. It can use enlarge and invisibility, just like the others. Still recharge short or long rest. But it also has a fire lance, which is a melee attack, +5 to hit, reach 10 foot. Get some reach on there. Single target, 1d12 plus 3 piercing, or 2d12 plus 3 piercing while under the effective enlarge, plus 1d6 fire.
Okay.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
And then on a 5 or 6 recharging, it can use fire spray. From its fire lance, the Duergar shoots a 15-foot cone of fire or a line of fire, 30 foot long, 5 foot wide. Each creature in that area must make a DC 12 dex save, taking 3d6 fire damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one.
Okay.
Pretty dang solid.
It is. Is it? And all together, as you go through each one, I mean, you could take each one and have them in their own group.
Yes.
And have some interesting interactions.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with those.
Yeah.
And then you tie in their constructs, of which we have 2.
Okay.
These are war machines that the Duergar has fused themselves with to be able to get extra utility out of themselves, right?
Right.
So first up is the Hammerer. It's CR2, armor class 17, very good for CR2. 33 hit points, but the speed's only 20 feet.
It says construct, right? It counts as construct. Okay.
This is a construct. It's immune to poison, and then, of course, it's immune to charmed, exhausted, frightened, paralyzed, and petrified as well. It understands Dwarvish, but it can't speak. Because it's given itself up to be a construct. It has the ability Siege Monster. It deals double damage to objects and structures.
Okay.
It has multi-attack, where it can make 1 claw attack and 1 hammer attack. The claw is a +5 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d6 plus 3 piercing. The hammer is single target, +5 to hit, 5 foot, 2d6 plus 3 bludgeoning, very good on CR2. Yeah. And it has a reaction called Engine of Pain. Immediately after a creature within 5 feet of the hammer hits it with an attack roll, the hammer makes a hammer attack against that creature.
Wow.
Just bam.
Yeah.
Then we have the Screamer, which is CR3. This uses sonic energy to grind things to dust. Armor class is 15. Hit points 38. Speed's only 20 again.
Yeah.
Immune to all the same conditions because it's a construct. It understands Dwarvish but can't speak. It has multi-attack where it can make 1 drill attack and uses Sonic Stream. The drill is a +6 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d12 plus 4 piercing. Yeah. And the Sonic Scream is where it emits destructive energy in a 15-foot cube. Each creature in that area must succeed on a DC 11 strength save. Oh, it's ad time. Oh, no. Oh, no. I was on a roll.
He was.
I was on a roll.
Strange little doors.
I don't know what to say because I don't know where I got cut off. I might just reread the Sonic Scream.
Yeah, I'll start with Scream. That's what
after the ad has finished.
Yes. We'll talk about this Sonic Scream.
Something about magic? Oh, boy. What do you think the Sonic Scream sounds like?
Oh, I don't know if you'd hear it.
That's even better in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be in the head. Your head.
Just a high-pitched whine.
Yeah. Just a pain in your brain.
So, Sonic Scream. The Screamer emits destructive energy in a 50-foot cube. Each creature in that area must succeed on a DC 11 strength save or take 2d6 thunder damage and be knocked prone. Like a dog whistle, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it also has Engine of Pain.
Okay.
So, between the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... I'm sorry, that's Drow. Between the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Duergar and the 2 constructs, you've got a lot you can do.
You got a whole campaign right there.
Yeah.
Just with those monsters.
Yeah, these things are...
And constructs
cool.
have some other rules. I mean, you can't polymorph a construct. There's a few things you can't do that's not quite labeled here on it. So
yeah, these things are going to just come get you.
Yeah. You stop them with force.
Mm-hmm. And then we have one last D monster.
Okay.
And we'll be out of the Ds.
Nice.
And this is a Dybbuk. It's a demon that possesses a corpse.
Oh.
So, in their natural form, Dybbuks are translucent flying jellyfish.
Okay.
However, they don't like to travel in that fashion. They instead like to find a corpse, which is far less wholesome than giant floating cool-looking jellyfish.
Yeah.
These are CR4. They have 14 AC, 37 hit points, have 0 walking speed, but a 40 fly speed, because they're jellyfish.
Yeah.
Until they get into a corpse.
Okay.
This is such a weird stat block. They're resistant to acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks.
Okay.
And they're immune to poison, of course. And then they can't be charmed, exhausted, frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, or restrained when they're not in a human body.
Okay.
So they're pretty crazy to fight outside a human body.
Yeah.
They have incorporeal movement. They can move through other creatures and objects if it's difficult terrain. They take 1d10 force damage if they end their turn inside an object.
Okay.
And they have magic resistance, advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. However, attack-wise, when in their jellyfish form, they only have a +6 to hit. CR4, that's pretty solid, but
yeah.
Single target, reach 5 foot, 2d8 +4 necrotic. And if the target is a creature, its hit point maximum is also reduced by 1d6. This reduction lasts till the target finishes a short or long rest and dies if it reaches 0, of course. Yeah. If it possesses a corpse, which it can do on a recharge of 6, and disappears into an intact corpse within 5 foot of it that belonged to a large or smaller beast or humanoid, it gains 20 temporary hit points, and while possessing the corpse, it adopts the corpse's size and can't use incorporeal movement. Its game statistics otherwise remain the same. The possession lasts until the temporary hit points are lost or the Dybbuk ends it as a bonus action. When the possession ends, the Dybbuk appears in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the corpse. The bonus action allows it to control the corpse. While the possessed corpse is active, the Dybbuk makes the corpse do something unnatural, such as vomit blood, twist its head all the way around, or cause a quadruped to move as a biped. Any beast or humanoid that sees this behavior must succeed on a DC 12 Wisdom saving throw or become frightened of the Dybbuk for 1 minute. The frightened creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. Creature that succeeds on a saving throw against this ability is immune to control corpse for 24 hours, and it can cast spells.
That's nice.
It uses Charisma as its mod, and the save is 12. At will, it can cast Dimension Door.
That's a good one.
And then 3 times a day, it can cast Phantasmal Force. This is a fiendish little creature.
It's a little strange, though, because the way it's set up, I kind of wish they would give a couple of stat blocks for depending on the creature.
Yeah.
That it's the corpse that it's picked up.
Right.
Like, I think that would probably be, I would probably play it different if it inhabited, say, a Goliath corpse.
Right.
Or an elf corpse.
Yeah.
You know.
Instead of just flat 20 temporary hit points.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once you get it out of the corpse, it's pretty simple to take down. It only has a 14 AC and 37 HP. So for anybody who's like, this thing's too strong. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
You can kill it in 1 turn on a monk.
Yeah.
A level 4 monk could probably kill this thing.
Yeah.
So, and that's all our Ds.
Nice.
Now we move into E's.
I don't think there'll be too many.
There's not. There are 5 E's.
5
basically.
E's. All right, let's see if we can get through these E's.
All right. So first up, we have the Eidolon, or the Eidolon, depending on who you are.
Okay.
These are ghostly spirits bound to safeguard a sacred place. Forged from the souls of those with unwavering devotion, Eidolons stalk temples and vaults to ensure that no enemy defiles, damages, or plunders these sites. So these are your good spirits, for the most part. I mean, it could be an evil site, I guess.
Yeah, or it's a good spirit until you need something from that tomb.
Right, and then it's against you.
Yeah.
But the word is used for many places for like a summon. And that's basically what these are. These are spirits that have been summoned by the devotion of the one who died.
Yeah.
To defend this place. They have a CR of 12. Armor class is only 9. Hit points is 63. At CR 12, you can burst these things down quick. However, they've got some pretty interesting things in their stat block.
Okay.
They have a speed of 0 with a fly of 40, hover. They have resistance to acid, fire, lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magic because they're ghosts.
Yeah.
And then they're immune to cold, necrotic poison. They can't be charmed, exhausted, frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, or restrained. They have a passive perception of 18.
That's pretty good.
They're probably going to see you coming.
Yeah.
And they have incorporeal movement, like we just talked about with the Dybbuk. They have Sacred Animation, which recharges on a 5 to 6. When the Eidolon moves into a space occupied by a sacred statue, the Eidolon can disappear, causing the statue to become a creature under the Eidolon's control. The Eidolon uses the sacred statue stat block in place of its own. And we have that stat block up next.
Okay. Let's see. I think I should have done that before with the...
Yeah, with the Dybbuk.
Yeah.
It also has advantage on saving throws against turn undead. It has turn resistance.
Okay.
It has the unusual nature, so of course it doesn't need to require air, food, drink, or sleep. Most likely, you're going to see this thing. It's going to become the statue. You're going to kill the statue, and then you're going to have to fight it, and you're going to kill it pretty quickly.
Yeah. I think this is one of the creatures. I think for this creature though, obviously the option's going to be there to fight it.
Right.
But I think if I'm using this creature and the group's fighting it, they've missed something.
Yeah, I agree. They should be able to talk to it and show that they mean no disrespect. It also has a special action called Divine Dread. It can't do any damage on its own, right? But each creature within 60 feet of the Eidolon that can see it must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or be frightened of it for a minute. While frightened, the creature must take the dash action, move away from the Eidolon by the safest available route at the start of each of its turns, unless there's nowhere for it to move, in which case the creature also becomes stunned until it can move again.
Ooh.
A frightened creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success.
Okay.
If the saving throw is successful or the effect ends for it, target's immune to Divine Dread for 24 hours.
Okay, that's interesting. That's added extra.
But it can't do any damage until it becomes a sacred statue.
And then it punches you.
Yeah. Now this thing doesn't have a challenge rating because realistically you should only be fighting it when you're fighting an Eidolon.
Yeah.
The challenge rating, of course, is 12 for the Eidolon.
Yeah.
The sacred statue is a large construct, and the statue, of course, differs based on the alignment of the Eidolon, whatever temple it's defending. But it has 19 AC, 95 hit points, and 25 speed.
Okay.
This thing is, and don't blink. This thing is resistant, of course, to everything that the Eidolon is resistant to, because why wouldn't it be?
Right.
And it's a construct, so as was said before, you can't polymorph it.
Can't polymorph it, can't put it to sleep, can't charm it. It's got. Can you? I don't think technically you can enlarge or reduce it.
You can't.
Yeah. Okay.
It also has a false appearance. If it's motionless at the start of combat, it has advantage on initiative.
Okay.
Moreover, if a creature hasn't observed the statue move or act, that creature must succeed on a DC 18 investigation check to discern that the statue isn't an object.
Okay.
It also has Ghostly Inhabitant. The Eidolon that enters the statue remains inside it until the statue drops to 0 hit points. The Eidolon uses a bonus action to move out of the statue, or the Eidolon is turned or forced out by an effect such as Spell, Evil, and Good spell. When the Eidolon leaves the statue, it appears in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the statue.
Fair enough.
Smack it with a hammer, pretty much. Without an Eidolon inside, the statue is inert.
Yeah.
And, of course, it doesn't require air, food, drink, or sleep. Attack-wise, and that's all it can do is attack, it makes 2 slam or rock attacks. The slam is a +8 to hit, reach 10 foot, single target, 6d12 plus 4 bludgeoning.
That's a lot. Slam the hell out of you.
Yeah. And then the rock is a ranged attack, +8 to hit, range 60 foot to 40 feet, single target, 6d10 plus 4 bludgeoning.
Golly.
So, yeah, this thing is tough. But like you said, if you're fighting it, something's gone wrong. Right.
I think so, yeah.
But you could have a lot of fun with this with the statue of Baphomet.
Yeah.
that this thing is defending, and oof.
Yeah.
Maybe even depending on how well they're doing, give it a couple Baphomet abilities so that if Baphomet's your big bad, you fight him later. It equals the light version of him. You know?
Yes, I can see that.
Not light as in Light, light as in Lite. Eladrin are next.
Okay, they should be. We have a few of these then.
Yeah, so we have a couple stat blocks for them, but it's not like the Drow. It's just, hey, here are the 4 types of Eladrin.
Okay, yeah. Well, the Eladrin's the same except for a special thing for the 4 types. Other than that, the stat block's going to stay the same, right?
So, of course, Eladrin are Fey Elves. They have a changeable nature, which means that if they go to sleep, then they can change out...
proficiency, skills?
Basically, but for the enemies, instead, they go, hey, when the Eladrin makes this change, they use the stat block of the new season rather than their own stat block.
Okay.
And any damage they sustained in their previous form still applies. Any conditions as well. So they can't just get out of conditions that way.
Yeah.
But, so Autumn is first, CR 10, armor class 19, 165 hit points, 30 speed, enchanting presence, which you're going to hear, again, a lot of these abilities will be the same.
Yeah.
But it's resistant to psychic, of course. Enchanting presence means any non-Eladrin creature that starts its turn within 60 feet of the Eladrin must make a DC 16 wisdom saving throw. And on a failed save, that creature becomes charmed by the Eladrin for 1 minute.
Wow.
On a successful save, the creature becomes immune to any Eladrin's enchanting presence for 24 hours. Whenever the Eladrin deals damage to the charmed creature, the charmed creature can repeat the saving throw, ending the effect on itself on a success.
It almost seems like that. I don't know. Just monster wise, and I know you got some more to go over on the Eladrin there, but it seems like a perfect foil for the Duergar.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you have this is your other group, and dealing with this weird plane you're on or whatever.
Yeah. Of course, it has magic resistance, as you would expect. Multi-attack, it can take 2 longsword or longbow attacks, and it can replace one of those attacks with the use of spellcasting. And again, it's 2 longsword or longbow. It's not 4 attacks. Plus 5 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 plus 1 slashing, or 1d10 plus 1 slashing if used with 2 hands, plus 5d8 psychic.
Oh, that's rough.
That's really strong. Then the ranged attack, the longbows, plus 7 to hit, range 160, 600, single target, 1d8 plus 3 piercing, plus 5d8 psychic.
All right.
Then the spellcasting, charisma is the mod, save is 16.
That's pretty tough.
At will hold person.
Yeah.
Twice a day each, cure wounds as a 5th level spell and lesser restoration.
Yeah.
Once a day each, greater restoration and revivify. Then, of course, they can face step, recharges on 4 to 6. They teleport along with anything they're wearing up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space. And they have foster peace as a reaction. If a creature charmed by the Eladrin hits with an attack roll while within 60 feet of the Eladrin magically causes the attack to miss, provided the Eladrin can see the attacker.
Ooh.
Which is very strong.
That's an interesting ability.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, I like that one.
Tasha has a quote here.
Okay.
It says, if an autumn Eladrin invites you over for dinner, come with an empty stomach. Their goodwill extends to heaping portions. Note to self, send some of my spring Eladrin friends to visit Mordenkainen. They'll teach him to lighten up. Which is a fun little thing.
So they've expanded the Eladrin, because the Eladrin was they were basically cloud elves before this that had Misty Step, a couple other things, a couple special things that made a really good character.
Yes.
It was. And they divided them up, and now there's 4 Eladrin, right?
Yeah.
One for each season. Okay.
And they can change their season. And so what I really like about it is the only real differences are their basic ability and their spellcasting. Everything else is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And so if you have 4 Eladrin that you're going to have to fight, you can have one of each. Or you can have each of them as spec to be a specific role for the upcoming fight they know they have to do.
Yeah.
So the Spring Eladrin gives a joyful presence.
Okay.
Instead of the charming presence. Any non-Eladrin, it still charms, but any non-Eladrin creature that starts to turn within 60 feet must make a 16 wisdom save. On a failed save, it becomes charmed by the Eladrin for 1 minute, a little bit different. And on a successful save, the creature becomes immune to any Eladrin's joyful presence for 24 hours. Then, of course, whenever any damage is done to them, it wears off. But the spells are different here for this Eladrin.
Okay.
At will is Tasha's Hideous Laughter.
Ooh.
And once a days each are Major Image and Suggestion.
Oh man, major imaging suggestion together would be.
Yep.
You can really throw off somebody.
It doesn't have Foster Peace. So you lose out on some of your presence power, and you lose out on Foster Peace, but you get a better spell list.
Yeah.
So, kind of tough to choose. Other than that, everything's the same. Still same speed and everything. HP, armor class, challenge rating. The Summer Eladrin is a little bit different. It has a speed of 50 feet.
Oh, that's
compared
fast.
to the 30. It's very fast. And it has a Fearsome Presence, which works exactly the same as the Joyful Presence, except it's frightened. And it only makes them immune to any Eladrin's Fearsome Presence for the next 24
So that's
hours.
gonna run. That's gonna run like Dragon Fear then. Mm-hmm. That runs just like that.
Damage wise, it's kind of interesting the way they did it because they didn't up the basic damage really. It's still 2 longsword, 2 longbow.
Yeah.
The damage is still 2d8 or 2d10 if used with 2 hands, but instead of 5d8 psychic, it's 2d8 fire.
Okay.
So it can move faster, and it has some other cool abilities. It loses out on the spell casting, and now does fire damage at less damage than the psychic, but still pretty solid damage.
Yeah, fire damage sticks.
Yes.
If you're playing that, yeah.
And of course, it's only resistant to fire. It's not resistant to psionics. So.
Okay.
But it has a parry as a reaction, where it adds 3 to its AC against one melee attack that would hit it, as long as it can see the melee attack, and they're wielding a melee weapon, of course.
Gotcha.
So, very, very cool. And then finally, the Winter Eladrin goes back down to 30 feet, has a Sorrowful Presence, which still charms, just as all the others, only for a minute, you know.
Yeah.
Damage-wise, it now does 3d8 cold instead of 2d8 fire or 5d8 psychic, which is pretty solid, cold damage. And it has a pretty interesting spell list, which is at will, Fog Cloud, Gust of Wind, and Sleet Storm.
Oh.
Sleet Storm at will.
Yeah.
It's locking down the battlefield.
It really, really is.
It still has the face step, of course, but it has Frigid Rebuke as a reaction, which is when the Eladrin takes damage from a creature the Eladrin can see within 60 feet of it. The Eladrin can force that creature to make a DC 16 con save. On a failed save, it just takes 2d10 cold damage.
I'm pretty sure some of the girls I asked out in high school had that frigid rebuke.
Just, hey, here's free cold damage for you. Thank you. So, pretty cool set of stat blocks, I think, because just with those 4, you can make a really good boss encounter.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I think it's very interesting the way they took those.
Will probably could use a code, yeah.
Sends with the code. Yes.
So we have 3 E's left.
Okay.
We have the Elder Brain.
Oh, okay.
Which is finally getting a stat block,
Okay.
even though it was mentioned in Ravenloft, in Von Richten's Guide to Ravenloft.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to have a stat block there. It's finally getting one here. It is exactly what you think. It is the Elder Brain that controls the hive mind.
Yeah.
For the Illithids, this is your big boss monster for a Illithid campaign. It's only CR 14, but it has legendary actions. It has a lot of crazy stuff going on. CR 14, I think, might be a little low for all that it can do, to be honest with you.
Especially when that's going to be definitely one boss that's going to have ads.
Yes, absolutely. The armor class is only 10.
Okay.
Some people will go, oh, that's so low. It's literally a hanging brain. Hanging by vines. It should have an AC of 10. It has 210 hit points. It has a movement speed of 5 feet as it limps around.
Yeah.
And has a swim speed of 10 feet. This thing is nuts skill-wise.
Okay,
Plus 10 to Arcana, plus 12 to Deception, plus 14 to Insight, plus 12 to Intimidation, plus 12 to Persuasion.
Golly.
Blind Sight to 120 feet with a passive of 14. It understands Common, Deep Speech, Undercommon, but it can't speak, but it has a telepathy of 5 miles.
Wow. It can speak.
It speaks directly into your brain.
Into your brain, yes.
It has Creature Sense, which is a really cool ability that I don't think has come to 5e until this moment.
I don't think I've heard it before.
It's an Elder Brain is aware of creatures within 5 miles of it that have an intelligence score of 4 or higher.
Okay,
It
so
knows
just
the
sent me.
distance and direction to each creature, as well as each one's intelligence score, but can't sense anything else about it.
Still, if you're attacking intelligence, that's good to know.
If the creature is protected by a Mind Blank spell, a non-detection spell, or similar magic, it can't be perceived in this manner.
Okay.
It's pretty solid. Legendary Resistance, of course, has 3 a day. Then it has magic resistance, and then it has telepathic hub. It can use its telepathy to initiate and maintain telepathic conversations with up to 10 creatures at a time.
Yeah.
The Elder Brain can let those creatures telepathically hear each other while connected in this way.
Yeah.
It will coordinate the Illithids to come fight you.
Yeah. You're going to have ads.
Damage-wise, it doesn't do that much on its own melee-wise. It has a tentacle that's a +7 to hit, reach 30 feet, single target, 48 plus 2 bludgeoning, and if the target's huge or smaller, it's grappled with an escape DC of 15.
Okay.
It takes 1d8 plus 5 psychic damage at the start of each of its turns till the grapple ends. It can have up to 4 targets grappled. That's solid, but that's not what you're using this thing for, right? It has a Mind Blast, which recharges on a 5 or a 6. Creatures of the Elder Brain's choice within 60 feet of it must succeed on a DC 18 saving throw, or take 5d10 plus 5 psychic damage and be stunned for 1 minute.
Oh, stun's bad.
Stunned for 1 minute.
That's bad.
A target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. That's 10 turns. You just can't do anything.
Yeah.
Your turns are gone.
And you end the turn on success, but you're not immune.
Right. It can be done again.
It's so bad, yeah.
The Elder Brain also has spellcasting, of course. It has Int as its spellcasting ability, as you would expect, and a spell save DC of 18, as we said. At will, it can cast Detect Thoughts and Levitate.
Okay.
3 times a day, it can cast Modify Memory.
Ooh, that's mean.
And once per day each, it can cast Dominate Monster and Plane Shift on itself.
That's kind of escape route.
Yep.
Into a different plane.
And now you see why I think DC 14 might be a little low, or CR 14 might be a little low for what all this can do, because we still have all of its bonus actions.
Oh, gosh.
It has a Psychic Link. It can target one incapacitated creature it senses with its Creature Sense trait and establish a Psychic Link with its target. Until the link ends, the Elder Brain can perceive everything the target senses. The target becomes aware that something is linked to its mind once it's no longer incapacitated, and the Elder Brain can terminate the link at any time, no action required. The target can use an action on its turn to attempt to break the link, doing so with a successful DC 18 Charisma saving throw. On a successful save, the target takes 3d6 psychic damage. The link also ends if the target and the Elder Brain are more than 5 miles apart. The Elder Brain can form psychic links with up to 10 creatures at a time. Somebody in your party could be feeding this thing information.
Yeah.
Because they went down in a fight and were within 5 miles of the Elder Brain.
Crazy.
Granted, they'll know it's there, but unless they can pass a DC 18 Charisma save, they can't break the link. And even when they break the link, they take 3d6 psychic damage. It also, of course, can sense thoughts. As a bonus action, the Elder Brain targets a creature with which it has a psychic link. It gains insight into the target's emotional state and foremost thoughts, including worries, loves, and hates.
Yeah.
Then we have its legendary actions. 3 legendary actions, of course. And it regains spent legendary actions at the start of its turn. So it can break concentration, targets one creature within 120 feet of it, with which it has a psychic link. The Elder Brain breaks the creature's concentration on the spell it has cast. The creature also takes 1d4 psychic damage per level of the spell.
That's pretty tough. That's gonna be. You've got a couple of steps to do that as a DM to do that legally and make it fair and everything.
Yeah,
but that's a big deal.
Yeah. Boop.
Yeah, force breaking concentrated spell, because 5e more than some of the others, there's some it kind of relies on spell concentration.
It does.
They've got each level. When you're low, it's things like Fairy Fire, and then Bless.
Yeah, Bless concentration as well.
So you got a few ones, and then as you get up higher, you're going to have, like later on, as your main casters casting things like Haste or Slow,
right?
That change the battlefield, because of what they do.
And even simple things like Spiritual Weapon, Hex.
Yeah.
These things are all very important. It also can use a Psychic Pulse. Targets one creature within 120 feet of it, with which it has a Psychic Link. The target and enemies of the Elder Brain within 30 feet of the target take 3d6 psychic damage.
Yeah.
Then it can sever the link within a target 120 feet away from, or within range of it. And when it severs the link, it causes the creature to have disadvantage on all ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws till the end of the creature's next turn.
Breaks the link and just makes you stupid.
Yep. And then if it spends 2 actions, it can use a tentacle attack.
Three.
Hey,
It's got 3. You got three actions.
Yeah, and you get them back at the start of your turn.
And you can spend 2 of those for a tentacle attack.
Yep, just bam, here's extra damage, and I can grapple you.
Yeah.
Then we have the lair actions.
Yeah.
On initiative count 20, the Elder Brain casts Wall of Force.
Ooh.
Psionic Anchor, the Elder Brain targets one creature consents within 120 feet of it and anchors it by sheer force of will. Target must make a DC 18 Charisma saving throw. On a failed save, its speed is reduced to 0, and it can't teleport.
Yeah.
It can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success.
Whew.
Psychic Inspiration, the Elder Brain targets one friendly creature consents within 120 feet of it. Target has a flash of inspiration and gains advantage on one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw it makes before the end of its next turn.
It's going to be a big battle.
Then
Otherwise, it's not going to be worth it.
Regional effects.
Just like a dragon or something, yeah.
Yep. Paranoia, creatures within 5 miles of an Elder Brain feel as if they're being followed, even when they're not. Psychic Whispers. It's ad time again. I don't think it actually is, Nightbot, but we'll see. Psychic Whispers. Any creature with which the Elder Brain has formed a psychic link hears incomprehensible whispers in the deepest recesses of its mind. The psychic detritus consists of the Elder Brain's stray thoughts commingled with those of the other creatures to which it's linked. It's kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
And then, of course, telepathic eavesdropping. The Elder Brain can overhear any telepathic conversation within 5 miles of it. The creature that initiated the telepathic conversation must make a DC 18 Wisdom saving throw. When telepathic contact is first established, if the save is successful, the creature is aware that something's eavesdropping. The nature of the eavesdropper isn't revealed.
This is interesting. And I understand it is. In a way, I see the sounds like a beholder on steroids. It's like a boss beholder in a way. I can see that. But and a lot of people, I understand if you no harm, no foul if you don't understand or don't have some D&D lore. But really going in, and we could have, it's kind of bad we don't have a discussion on mind flayers tonight, because this would tie in with that.
Yeah, it really would.
Well, because this is not going to be, this is not like a dragon where you can have a dragon just by itself out in the mountain and the regional effects and the layer, and that's going to be it. I don't know. It makes sense.
Yeah,
the dragons are solitary. This is not solitary. This is a communal brain.
Right. This thing has thousands of illithids that work for it.
Yeah.
You might come to it.
Yeah, you might have one on a ship and then a whole crew of illithids dedicated to this. This is how they talk to each other.
Yep.
It's through
the hive mind.
Through the hive mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I know we're almost at time, but we just have 2 more E's.
So 2 more E's, and I got a little discussion that's been on my mind as we're going through this.
Okay. This next one, I say 2. The Myrmidons are the elemental Myrmidons that we finally get real stat blocks for. But they're very similar to each other, of course.
Okay.
The Elder Tempest is next. And this is like the Elder Brain for storms. For living storms.
Does it count as an elemental?
It is.
Okay.
A gargantuan elemental.
Ooh, okay.
This is a boss monster for the elementals.
Nice.
CR 23, AC 19, 264 hit points, 0 walking speed, but 120 fly speed.
Wow.
This thing is fast.
Boogie through the air.
It is, of course, resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magic.
Mm-hmm.
It is immune to lightning, poison, and thunder. Everything's immune to poison in this book.
Yeah.
And it can't be exhausted, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, or stunned. It has an air form. It can enter a hostile creature space and stop there.
Mm-hmm.
It can move through the space as narrow as 1 inch without squeezing. It has flyby. It doesn't provoke opportunity attacks when it flies out of enemy reach. It has legendary resistances, 3 a day. And then it has Living Storm. The Tempest is always at the center of a storm, 1d6 plus 4 miles in diameter. Heavy precipitation in the form of either rain or snow falls there, causing the area to be lightly obscured. Heavy rain also extinguishes open flames and imposes disadvantage on perception checks that rely on hearing. In addition, strong winds swirl in the area covered by the storm. The winds impose disadvantage on ranged attack rolls. They also extinguish open flames and disperse fog.
Okay.
And of course, it does double damage to objects and structures because it's a living tornado.
Yeah.
Multi-attack, it has 2 thunderous slam attacks, plus 16 to hit. I mean, it's a CR 23 monster. It should be doing stuff like that. Reach 20 foot, single target, 46 plus 9 thunder damage. You may say that damage is a little low. It needs to be, because it has a lightning storm that recharges on a 6. Each creature within 120 feet of the Tempest must make a DC 21 dex save. taking 68 lightning damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one.
Okay.
And if a target saving throw fails by 5 or more, we love this.
Yeah, we need more of these.
The creature is stunned until the end of its turn.
Golly. That's
End of its next turn.
stunning is bad.
Yep.
Just
Then, of
stand there and
course,
get hit.
That's all really that it gets to do other than legendary actions. But that in and of itself is already very strong. You can't use fire on it. You can't use ranged weapons on it.
Yeah.
You have to get into the storm and swing, and
Yeah.
it has to be magical. But legendary action wise, it can move for free up to its speed, 120 feet.
Yeah.
For 2 actions, it can use a lightning strike. It can cause a bolt of lightning to strike a point in the ground anywhere under the storm. Each creature within 5 feet of that point must make a DC 21 dex save, taking 3d10 lightning damage on a failed save, half as much on a save. And for 3 actions, it can cast Screaming Gale. The Tempest releases a blast of thunder and wind in a line that is 300 feet long and 20 feet wide. That's a huge line.
Yeah, it is.
Objects in that area take 4d10 thunder damage. Each creature there must succeed on a DC 21 dex save or take 4d10 thunder damage and be flung up to 60 feet in a direction away from the line. If a thrown target collides with an immovable object, such as a wall or floor or another creature, it also takes 1d6 bludgeoning damage for every 10 feet it was thrown before impact. If the target collides with another creature, that other creature must succeed on a DC 19 dex save or take the same impact damage and be knocked prone.
Pretty mean.
So it takes all their legendary actions that turn, but bang!
Well, yeah. You're down.
Huge
You're
amounts
not
of damage, huge amounts of pushing. You're knocked prone.
Yeah. Would you prone, unless you have the mobile feet, you're spending half your movement to get up. So if it does knock you prone, you may not be getting a hit this turn.
That's right, because it's going to move 120 feet. This thing is nuts. But again, it's the boss monster for elementals.
It should be, yeah.
And it's cool to finally have a boss monster for elementals.
It is, because I've had to make one up before.
Yeah. It's nice to have, here's the living storm.
Yeah,
and the
I
actual,
like
like artwork that they've chosen is a Quetzalcoatl or an Azulong dragon made out of lightning and storm clouds and rain and snow. And it looks super cool, and it has wings every so many feet down the course of its body.
Once again, I feel like this could be benevolent, and you don't want to tick it off.
Right.
Or it could be just evil, just chaos.
Yeah.
Throwing it out. I think this one plays both ways.
I think so, too. And then finally, we have our 4 elementals. These are literally just Myrmidon stat blocks for the regular elementals. This is, hey, you had a Myrmidon before.
Yeah.
This is, hey, here's the full stat block for it.
Yeah.
Because before it was just, hey, take a regular stat block and give it weapons.
Yeah, they have their stat bots in. There is stat blocks in the monster's manual.
Yeah.
And they're just that. They're souped up, just a souped up version of the elemental. There's nothing, they don't separate themselves in any way, really.
So these are CR7.
Okay.
Armor class 18, 117 hit points, speed of 30, fly of 30 for the air elemental.
Yeah.
They are, of course, resistant to lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical.
Yeah.
Immune to poison, paralyzed, petrified, prone. They do count as elementals, of course, and they speak Orin and one language of the creator's choice.
Okay.
They have 3 flail attacks, which before the air elemental only had 2, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 3 flail attacks, plus 7 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 plus 4 force damage, and then they still have their lightning strike.
It's a little more to them.
A little bit more damage, and it makes 1 flail attack. Now it's not just, hey, you get to do lightning. It's you make 1 flail attack, recharges on a 6, and on a hit, it takes an extra 4d8 lightning.
Well, I think the one before, it just had, you could slam, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could just slam before.
You could slam, and you had 1 special ability.
Right. So 4d8 lightning is pretty good, and the target must succeed on a DC 13 con save or be stunned until the end of the Myrmidons' next turn. So pretty dang solid.
Yeah.
Then it's the Earth Elemental, which is still same stats.
Yeah, the tank of the group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 maul attacks, just like before. The maul is a plus 7 to hit still. Reach 5 foot, single target, 2d6 plus 4 force, which I believe it was 2d8 before. However, that definitely balances out. Because now it still has the Thunder Strike, and on a recharge of 6, now it does 4d10 thunder damage, which is more than it did before.
Yeah.
And the target must succeed on a DC 14 strength save or be knocked prone. That's very good.
Yeah.
Then we have the fire elemental.
Cool.
Stats are still, the same.
Yeah.
It technically has 4 less HP than the others, but that's such a small difference.
Yeah.
It does have a 40-foot movement speed instead of the 30. That's actually a difference in my mind.
Okay, yeah.
It sheds illumination, so bright light, 20-foot radius, dim light to 40. It has water susceptibility. For every 5 feet the Myrmidon moves in 1 foot or more water, it takes 1d4 cold damage. And then it now has multi-attack for 3 scimitar attacks.
Ooh.
+7 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d6 plus 4 force.
Okay.
And with the fiery strikes, it uses the multi-attack, and each attack that hits deals an extra 2d6 fire.
That's nasty.
It's pretty dang good.
It is pretty good. I like that one.
And then the water elemental is 40-foot movement, 40-foot swim.
Yeah.
But otherwise the same. Multi-attack with 3 trident attacks, +7 to hit, reach 5 foot, or range 20-60. That's new. Single target, 1d6 plus 4 force damage, or 1d8 plus 4 force damage if he's used with 2 hands.
Okay.
And then freezing strikes,
Throw it with 2
which
hands.
works the same way pretty much. Each attack that hits on the multi-attack deals an extra 1d10 cold damage. A target that's hit by 1 or more of these attacks has its speed reduced by 10 feet until the end of the Myrmidon's next turn. So if it hits you with all 3, your speed's been reduced by 30 feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam.
Like I said, these are not stuff they are monsters you could use individually, but you're more than likely going to group at least 2 of them up.
Right.
2 different ones.
So pretty dang solid. And that's our ease.
And that was pretty good. And some good resistances through there.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed something about this book, and it's something that hasn't really been a discussion in 5e.
Yeah.
I haven't worried about it. But it mattered before, because some of these creatures have magic resistance.
Right.
Well, early editions of D&D, your dwarf had magic resistance.
Right.
Now, if a dwarf put on, you see you have 15% magic resistance, so they put on an invisibility ring.
Yeah.
They put it on, their leg goes invisible, but not the rest of them.
Right.
And so the use of magic resistance counted for magic.
Yeah.
And it may still be that way, but it doesn't feel like it's presented that way.
Yeah, now it's pretty much just, you have advantage on saving throws.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of this is not going to work for you as well as others.
Yeah, it's definitely a different way to look at it for sure.
Because magic resistance was magic resistance.
Right.
Magic isn't good or bad, it's whoever's using it.
Right.
So.
And I guess technically that still works that way, because now it's just you have advantage against it. But.
Yeah, but you're not going to make that person roll.
Right.
If they get a magic ring.
No, for sure.
Or if they get a necklace or anything. If they were the right, if they had magic resistance.
Yeah, that's very true.
Race. So different.
It's very true.
I think what's kind of surprised me out of this book, out of all the ones you've gone over, is just they seem to really hit on resistances.
Yeah.
They're much more specific than they seem like they have been before, and I have to kind of double check myself on this. Of course, the poison thing is always there. Poison after certain levels, kind of pointless.
Yeah, everything winds up becoming resistant to poison.
Yeah, but the actual immunities that are listed out, instead of just being they're immune to fire damage.
Right.
It's actually they're immune to this.
This thing's immune to being stunned. You can't stun this. Stunning strike doesn't work on this.
Yeah, that seems new and different to me.
I agree. I don't think that was in there before.
Okay.
And more stuff that can't be knocked prone, even though it doesn't have a fly speed. This thing is too stout for you to be able to knock prone, no matter how hard you hit it.
Yeah.
This thing can't be restrained because it's a ghost. Well, yeah, that makes sense. You shouldn't be able to restrain a ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably should have been there from the get-go. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot more of that.
Which I think there's, like in second edition, that's the one I'll speak to. And like I said, you play 3.5 and 4. It seems like some of the stuff in second edition, you should make that connection. You should know.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think 5e needs to do the opposite of that. I think if 5e tells me that this creature is a construct, then go ahead and put in there the immunities that constructs have.
I agree. You need to go ahead and let me know that it can't be polymorphed.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Because especially if I'm a new DM, I don't know the difference between a construct and an elemental.
Mm-hmm. Well, without knowing some of the stuff that you can't do to a construct, a golem's not going to seem like much.
That's right. But once you know, magic doesn't really work on it.
Yeah, once you have that other aspect to it, it makes it a lot tougher.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So next week we're gonna F up.
Yep. Next week we start with a fire giant dreadnought. So that's if that's not in the title, like if that's not in the description, I don't know what's gonna be.
Right.
Because at that point, come on now.
Fire giant dreadnought.
So, and that's not even a boss monster, really.
Oh.
So, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to come. We're just now getting to the Fs. Obviously, we still have a lot more stuff to go through. But for anybody that's been worried and going, well, hey, I really want them to get to this monster. When are we going to get there? The next couple weeks, we should be able to get at least 2 letters done. Because
D has had a long list.
D had a really long list,
and I don't think we have anything like that until S. Did you tell me
it's
S?
pretty much around till S again.
Okay.
J only has 1 creature in it, for instance.
Right.
So,
I don't know.
We'll get there.
Excellent.
Well, I mean, it depends on how you feel about spikes. But
depends on who's wearing them.
Until next time, I've been Trey.
I've been Rungren.
And we've been the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that D&D has to offer.